So utility programs are a type of software that helps maintain or configure a computer. It's known as system software, a bit like an operating system, but there are extra types of programs that are installed at the same time as the OS sometimes, but they can also be added afterwards. And they're just for making sure the computer is running as best it possibly can, like focusing more on the hardware. So some examples are antivirus software. So that's trying to make sure you don't get viruses with all your incoming data. Encryption and decryption, so making sure everything's secure so no prying eyes can understand your data. Keeping your system clean so it runs as best possible. Ensuring everything's up to date with software updates. These are all examples. I'm going to focus on this one, disk defragmentation. So you could have to talk about one. So I'd say antivirus firewalls, things like that, are quite nice examples that are easy to talk about. However, I quite like this defragmentation because it's one that it's got a really long name, and once you understand it's actually quite basic what it's doing. So to focus on one, in case you get asked to talk about one in an exam in more detail, what disk defragmentation does is essentially when you store things on a computer. So let's say I'm just storing these blue bits of data here. All right, you'll start storing on a track of information. So you start storing in, let's say, these blocks of bytes of data. But then what will happen is you might run out of room in that one, and then you have to go and put something over here and then over here on the hard drive. And what you might find is your sort of data gets segmented all over the hard drive. So all disk defragmentation does is tries to reorganize it in blocks so all the data is together. Not only does this get rid of these tiny blocks of data that are left, like tiny little gaps that are left all over as things get deleted and things like that, it also, so that potentially frees up some room, also will speed up file access. If you imagine this was, let's say it's a hard disk drive, magnetic, if you imagine it's spinning and I'm trying to read that line of data, that's quite easy if it's all in line for me to read and quite fast. But if I've got to then move over here and then move over there, that's going to mean there's more movement going on that's going to take longer to read. Okay, so it can speed up file access, but it also can free up some disk space. And the reason it happens is over time, imagine I've got these files that are nicely organized. Let's say I delete the green file and then I delete that pink file. Well, eventually when this starts filling up, my free space is then in the middle of other files. So I'll start putting new files in these gaps. And then some of the other things will get deleted, and then the gaps produce. So you can see how over time gaps start to emerge, and then you start filling those gaps, and other gaps emerge, and it ends up like that. So every now and again, it's worth running disk defragmentation software that's built into your operating systems to try and tidy it up, and you might find your computer starts running quicker.